Good afternoon and welcome to the May 2021 meeting of the Community Planning and Preservation Commission for the City of St. Petersburg. This commission reviews proposed changes to the comprehensive plan, land use and zoning, as well as historic preservation related proposals, and makes recommendations to the City Council. All individuals in any city facility are encouraged to follow the public safety protocols recommended by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, including wearing a mask in common areas, maintaining 6 feet of distance, and other safety practices. Applicants may wait in the conference room 100 and monitor the meeting until their case is ready to be heard. Our agenda today includes quasi-judicial and public hearing items. The quasi-judicial items on our agenda will require the following quasi-judicial process. Anyone speaking before the commission on a quasi-judicial item will be sworn in by the clerk prior to speaking. Staff, the applicant, and registered opponent will each have 10 minutes for their presentation. After the presentations, each member of the public who wishes to address the commission will have 3 minutes to speak. When called on to speak, please step up to the podium, state your name, address, and that you have been sworn in. We ask that you make your remarks brief and not repetitive of prior testimony. After the public hearing, staff, the applicant, and any registered opponent will have 5 minutes for cross-examination of anyone who spoke during this item, and then 5 minutes each for rebuttal or closing comments. During cross-examination, all questions are to be directed to me as chair. I will in turn direct the questions to the appropriate person for response. At the conclusion of these steps, the commission will enter into executive session. Commissioners may ask questions at any time during the quasi-judicial process upon being recognized by the chair. And finally, all procedural questions are to be directed to me as chair. Okay, let's do a roll call quickly, please.
Sure. Bell, Gertis.
Here.
Rogo.
Present.
Whiteman. Winters.
Here, but my sound is not working.
Wolf. Burke.
Here.
Michaels. Wanamaker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. I think everybody received last meeting's minutes. Any questions, concerns, comments, additions, deletions?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the April 13th minutes as distributed.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Wanamaker, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Any updates we need to know of before moving along?
Nope.
All good? I like smooth sailing. Okay, then we will move on to our first item. Commissioner Wanamaker, would you mind reading this in?
Agenda item number 1 is City File number 21-903-00001. The request is for the designation of the Jordan Park Administration Building as a local historic landmark of the St. Petersburg Register of Historic Places, and this is quasi-judicial. The owner and the applicant is the City of St. Petersburg.
Okay, thank you. And from the city, we have Ms. Dubcott. Ms. Dubcott, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Laura Dubcott, Historic Preservationist for the City of St. Petersburg. And we have City File 21-903-00001, which is a local designation application for the Jordan Park Administration Building. The proposed designation includes only the administration building and the space that was historically a flexible sort of green space and recreational space, as shown in the dotted boundary. This designation application was initiated by the city. So shown here is the administration building as it looks today. It was constructed circa 1939 as part of the earlier development of the Jordan Park public housing, and was altered to have this sort of craftsman look around the year 2000. Shown here are some of the Jordan Park residential buildings in 1940. The administration building originally had a more minimal traditional style, as shown here. And here is an aerial of the Jordan Park Housing Administration. It was constructed during the late 1930s and early 1940s by the Federal Housing Administration. It was initially constructed to be a segregated housing project for the African American residents of St. Petersburg, and it stimulated the growth of the 22nd Street South, or the Deuces commercial corridor. The administration building was also an important meeting space for a number of significant events that occurred during the Civil Rights Movement, and so is important to St. Petersburg's history for that reason. There's many more details in the staff report. Shown here again is the proposed boundary with the space that was traditionally more open. So to conclude, staff finds that the Jordan Park Administration Building is eligible for inclusion in the St. Petersburg Register of Historic Places for its significance under two of the criteria. Criterion A, its value as a significant reminder of cultural heritage in the area of ethnic heritage for its association with the African American community of St. Petersburg. And criterion B, its location is the site of a significant local, state, or national event in the areas of community planning and development, as well as social history. We also evaluate the historic integrity of proposed landmarks. In this case, as you saw in the earlier slide, there have been some stylistic changes to the subject property, but staff does find that overall the historic integrity is maintained or slightly diminished in enough areas that it continues to convey its historic significance. That concludes my presentation. I am available for any questions. Many thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Duvicat. I'm assuming because it's the city, there is no owner presentation?
I do have a,
We do have some public hearing because there's no registered opponent. Thank you. I'm going to mess this up. Miss, what is it? Evelyn? Elvin, yeah, thank you. I was close enough to get you to know it was you. Listen.
Hey, I'm Emily Elwin, and I'm a board member with Preserve the Burg.
Could you please, I'm sorry to interrupt, could you please state your address? And
Oh,
we just want to
yes.
make sure that you've been sworn in.
Thank you. I have been sworn in, and it's amazing how time away makes you forget the process. I'm Emily Elwin. My address is 836 16th Avenue Northeast, and I have been sworn in. And I'm here today as a board member of Preserve the Burg, representing Preserve the Burg, and I'm also a historic preservationist as well. The first thing I want to say is thank you. Thank you to the city, thank you to City Council for bringing forth this designation. I think this is incredibly important that we as a community really try and close the diversity gap between what we have created as landmarks and how people have lived our history and what is really important to us as a community. So I am absolutely thrilled to see this happening, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see that the city has initiated it. So thank you so much. And Preserve the Burg supports the landmark designation of the historic Jordan Park structure, and we like I said, we want to see more of that going on. Another thing I just want to say is historic preservation is really moving away from designating the grand landmarks. We need designations for places like the Snell Arcade. Of course, they're wonderful. But as I said, as we live our history, as our history is important to all of us, we need to think about some of these more vernacular spaces that don't present as these elite landmarks, but they're equally important to our city. So I encourage you to vote in favor of this designation, and I thank the city and the staff for bringing it forward.
Thank you very much. I'm assuming nobody's going to cross-examine her. Ms. Dubicat's not going to cross-examine herself. Okay.
For what it's worth, she could cross Ms. Elwin.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you, Mr. Dima.
I doubt that's going to happen either.
Okay, any closing remarks or rebuttal? No, thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll move into executive session. Any comments or questions? Commissioner Rogo.
Mr. Chairman, a question for Ms. Duvicat, please. I'm curious as to whether or not anyone from the management or the board of the Woodson Museum has given us any comments or feedback to this application. I respect that the city is the owner, but the current tenant, if you will, is the museum.
Yes, they were provided with a copy of the staff report. I don't believe that we received any comments.
Yes, that's correct. So we provided information out to several community stakeholders, including the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American History Museum staff and representatives. We advised them of this particular meeting date and also City Council. So typically, for these types of cases, they will provide comments or present at the City Council hearing.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I have a quick question. Is the St. Pete PAL Police Athletic League still involved at all in Jordan Park? Do you know? Do we know? I
do not know.
Okay. I thought they ran a summer camp there. I was just curious to whether it impacted them at all in order to do updates or anything like that. But if I trust you, so.
The designation would create the need for a certificate of appropriateness for exterior alterations. It wouldn't affect use. I'm not sure if that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Anything else from the commission? Do we have a motion?
Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the designation of the Jordan Park Administration Building as a local historic landmark.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogo.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Wanamaker. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, awesome. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item number 2. Ms. Wanamaker, if you would, please.
Agenda item number 2 is City File number 21-902-00029. The request is for the review of a certificate of appropriateness for the alteration of a detached garage at 809 Prospect Court South, a contributing resource to a local historic district. The owner is Stephanie Smart, and the agent is Heather Morrison.
Thank you. Okay, and Ms. Duvicat, I think we're welcoming you back.
Yes, thank you. Hello again. We have CUA number 21-902-00029 for 809 Prospect Court South. The subject property is located within the Roser Park Local Historic District and is a contributing structure. The detached garage was part of the property's original construction. The subject property shown here was constructed circa 1920. It overlooks Booker Creek and Prospect Court at a pretty prominent elevation above the street level as shown. So shown here in yellow is the location of the proposed alterations. It's a historic garage building that is detached from the primary residence and is not visible from the primary street elevation at all. Shown here are the proposed openings, locations of 3 windows, a set of French doors, and a mini split AC unit. This is the proposed door configuration, which is an open glazed French door, and the windows proposed are 1/1. To summarize the findings, the proposal meets 4 out of 4 relevant criteria of the general criteria for certificates of appropriateness and 5 out of 5 additional guidelines for alterations. Based on the evaluation, staff recommends approval with some of the typical conditions that we apply to windows and doors, a traditional reveal, the retention or application creation of a traditional window frame, and contoured three-dimensional muntins. That concludes my presentation. The property owner is here.
Thank you, Ms. Duvacott. Okay, so Ms. Smart, come on up.
I am Stephanie Smart. I am the owner of 809 Prospect Court South, St. Petersburg, Florida. I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
And I thank Ms. Duvacott and the city staff for their continued hard work. This is not our first time at this rodeo on this property. And thank also the committee that the roof that you'll see, well, you did see in that picture, is thanks to you as well. And obviously, with the positive staff report, I don't have much to argue with. I just have one thing that I talked to Ms. Duvacott about. The staff recommendations number, my glasses, not getting any younger. Number 4 says that French doors will feature contoured external muntins. And we have French doors on the front of our house, 2 of them that have those. And then we had back doors replaced with a permit that don't have them, and I have pictures of them. Those are the most in the closest proximity to, and I can hand them to you, or do you want to broadcast them? How do, oh, here we go.
Is it easy to?
Nope. Let's try this one. It's not working. It's not working. Sorry. I can hand it out to them.
I was going to say, that's why I brought some copies. I'm not sure. I brought 5, so you'll need this one too. This is current as of last week, so it doesn't get much more current. The double French doors that you see there do not have the muntins, and those were replaced about 3 years ago with a permit. And neither Ms. Duvacott or I know how or why they were approved without muntins, if that was a requirement, but they were. So they are, and that weird rectangular shaded area on the right is where the new ones will go on this garage. So seems to me aesthetically that would be more appropriate for them to closer match the other ones, but I'm not going to raise Cain over it if they have to have muntins. It just seems like it would make more sense if they matched what was there already. But other than that, we're happy to move forward. And that's the only visible change that will be seen, and that's from really not the historic side of the home.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Smart.
Thank you. And thank you all for your time and attention.
And no registered opponent?
No.
Any public hearing?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Can you help this gentleman?
Yes, of course.
No cards, no registered opponent.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any cross-examination, Ms. Duvacott?
None, thank you.
Ms. Smart? Any rebuttal or closing remarks? Ms. Smart? Okay. Okay, so we'll move into executive session. Commissioner Wanamaker?
Question, please, for Ms. Duvacott. Would the external muttons on the French doors be 3/4, or how would it potentially segment the glazing?
So usually 2 by 3 or 4 or 3 by 4 is traditional for French doors because it's a new unit. I think that there's some flexibility with that.
Okay. And are there any other French doors on the home that are existing that have external muttons?
Yes.
Okay, and what are
I
those?
believe the front doors.
The front doors, right?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Well, so even worse, now we've got doors in the back and 2 different doors in the front, so it seems, actually, in my opinion, we need to do what's right, and the new doors need to have external muttons to match one of the sets of doors in the front. So, personally, I believe that they should have exterior muttons, so I'd like to see them have exterior muttons. And then who knows, maybe one day in the future, you may decide to add external muttons to the double French doors off of the patio in the back of your home. But I'm going to require that condition be met for my approval.
Commissioner Winters.
And I'll concur with that because historically, they would all have dimensional muttons. It's a kind of a character defining element on these houses. So I also would support this application if we do go with the muttons.
Ms. Smart, can these doors be seen from the back of the house? From the back of the house? This is the back, correct?
That's correct. They can be seen from the park.
Thank you. Yeah, at first if you can't be seen, and this one, but if it can be seen, I completely understand that, where they would need to be. Commissioner Burke.
Ms. Dubicott, can you confirm that these existing French doors were put in with a building permit while the property was a contributing resource to a local historic district?
I don't know that. I just saw this photograph before the hearing, so I haven't had a chance to look it up.
Ms. Smart, when did you install those doors?
About 3 years ago. So I actually have a permit in my.
Can you come to the podium if you're going to?
I'm sorry. Yes, I have the permit in my files at home. It was posted on our doors for, weeks before, weeks after. So, yeah, I mean, and we have been a contributing property all along since the whole time we've owned it.
So this was a contributing resource since you've owned it?
Yes.
Okay.
So now, all of that said, I did not know of this whole process back until we went through our roof process, which is since then. So, wasn't delving deep into how they did that, but yeah, clearly the door people had a permit and they posted it, and we left it on until the inspector came by and inspected it.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, a follow-up question?
Absolutely, Commissioner.
I'm just curious then, what would be the typical notification process if someone came in with a request to install new French doors in a contributing resource property? Would the building department then notify historic preservation that there's a COA also required?
If no COA has been obtained before, there's regardless, there's a flag in the parcel number for all of these properties. So whenever there's an application for a building permit, it's held until historic preservation has seen it. So.
And in this case, that did not happen. Apparently, did not happen.
I don't know. I don't recall, and I haven't had a chance to look it up. So
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Burke.
Ms. Smart, is your home one that the roof was permitted, ordered, and the materials were on site when you learned you had to have a COA?
No.
Okay.
We did the roof. We waited
That was another house.
a year and 5 months for the roof. No.
A beautiful home, by the way.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said it. Beautiful home.
Thanks. Come out to Porch Fest this weekend. You can watch them
Oh, this is Port.
musicians on our front steps.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Winters?
Just acknowledging that somehow that got missed a few years
No.
back. I do think this is the chance to kind of right the ship here. So I will move approval of the COA with all the conditions listed by staff.
Second.
Commissioner Wanamaker, thank you.
And are we allowed to discuss more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Should this issue not pass, then I will likely put up a motion to approve this with conditions 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7, should this not pass.
Yeah, I mean,
Allowing for the not,
If this doesn't pass, then that would be the end of the.
yeah,
that would be the end of it?
that would be the end of it. We'd need to amend the motion, I think, in order for that to happen, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Or be withdrawn and read.
I would respectfully ask, and I think I know the answer, which is fine, if you would consider amending the motion?
No.
No? Okay.
I tend to agree with you, Commissioner Burke. This is one of those things where I think we've seen a couple of these, at least in my tenure here, to where it's unfortunate because, it seems like a mistake has been made, and then we're asking the homeowner to, I'm sorry, I can't let you comment at this point unless a question's been asked. I know that stinks. Where the homeowner has got to take it, but I tend to agree with you, Commissioner Burke.
Okay.
If that makes any difference, Commissioner Winters, which I'm not saying it has to.
I guess Ms. Dovacott could confirm, this is a pretty minimal expense. And I'm just concerned about setting more precedent and approving something that we shouldn't be approving to begin with, because dimensional external muttons are character defining elements on these houses. And I don't really care where it is on the house. They should have them because that's the character of these houses.
That's generally a recommendation, and that's a configuration that's in the.
I'm sorry.
All right, that's generally our recommendation, is to have some division, and that's also what's shown in the design guidelines is French doors with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I again, the process worked correctly this time. Somebody applied for a permit, it got flagged, it went to Historic Preservations, a certificate of appropriateness is being applied for, and the external muttons are a very character-defining element. I mean, if you look at the full pane of glass in a large French door, it looks very modern. It's very contemporary. As soon as you add external muttons, it looks more historic and traditional. So, I would almost go so far as to requiring external muttons on the existing French doors. But I wouldn't go there. But it really is not a large expense.
Yeah,
So
I'm not saying that I am prepared to vote against the motion. What I am saying is I would be amendable to it had that been an option, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a point of parliamentary procedure. So,
I'm willing to learn.
okay, well, the original movement didn't accept a friendly amendment. You're still allowed one substitute motion that would have to be disposed of before the original motion could be voted on.
Walk me through that one more time, Mr. Demas, sorry.
So instead of Commissioner Winters, who was the original movant, she declined an amendment to her motion, but you can still have a substitute motion. One is allowed under the rules of parliamentary procedure. So if you choose to go that route, you would have to vote on the substitute motion, at which point you would then have to.
And then you'd vote on the original.
Correct.
Thank you. So you could have a substitute motion. That Mr. Burke could have a substitute motion. We could discuss and vote, and it could go back, and then it originally could go back to the original motion.
That's correct.
Thank you. I didn't know that.
May I ask the applicant a question?
Absolutely.
Ms. Smart,
Yes, sir.
path of least resistance is to accept all city conditions. Are you willing to do that?
That's what I was trying to say before.
Okay.
I am not willing to put this at risk for the sake of Muntins.
I love those conditions.
Well, Ms. Smart, thank you for being amendable. And again, I want to reiterate what Commissioner Burke said, and I think what everybody else agreed with. It's a beautiful home. Thank you for doing it, and thank you for protecting it. Okay, so I think we're ready to vote then. Commissioner Rogo.
I'm sorry, I guess I'm like Commissioner Burke. I'm uncomfortable with requiring the owner to install muntins on a set of doors that are just across the patio from a set of doors that do not have the muntins. And although Ms. Smart is certainly willing to install the muntins on the doors that are in question today, could we amend our motion to include the existing doors and the requirement that those existing doors have muntins installed?
Mr. Dima, can we do that? Is that like inside our purview?
Again, so if Commissioner Winters, whose original motion is still the one that's on the floor right now, if she accepts a friendly amendment or chooses to amend it on her own, that can happen. If not, a substitute motion could be made to amend or add a condition to address what Commissioner Rogo just brought up.
I was more making sure that the doors that have nothing to do with the certificate of approval today can be voted on. Yes, Mr. Kilborn.
I think from staff's perspective, we would see that outside the scope of the application that's being considered. So we would encourage the property owner to do that for consistency, but I don't think that we would request the commission to take action on that today.
That was my concern.
Respect and appreciate that advice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was my concern. Anything else? Ready to vote? Let's vote. Thank you very much.
Gertis,
Yes.
Rogo,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Wanamaker.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much, Ms. Smart. Commissioner Rogo, did you have an additional comment that
No, thank
Okay.
you. No.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't skip you. Okay. Item number 3 on our agenda. Commissioner Wanamaker, if you would, please.
Item number 3 is City File number 21-902-00030. The request is for the review of a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of a side porch and construction of a residential addition at 2750 Dartmouth Avenue North, a contributing property to a local historic district. The owner is Deborah Wright, and the agent is Jerry Brown.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Wanamaker. Ms. Perkins for the city.
Yes,
Welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Kelly Perkins, Historic Preservationist of the City of St. Pete. We're here for a COA for 2750 Dartmouth Ave North. Here's a map showing the outline of the property. It is located in the recently designated Southwest Central Kenwood Local Historic District. It is a contributing property. It was constructed in 1937 by builder Fred G. Crawford, who constructed many houses in the Kenwood area and throughout St. Pete in the 1930s. It's considered a good example of a Tudor Revival architecture with the rounded arched doorway, the central chimney, and bay window. The project proposed today is to demolish a side screened-in porch and build an approximately 126 square foot addition in the space as the extant porch. It will incorporate a side gable roof that's a similar pitch to the main house but at a lower height, utilizing materials such as asphalt shingles, a 6/1 sash window on the front with the 2 triangular clear story windows on the side and a sliding glass door on the rear, and hardy board siding to match existing. Here's a photograph of the porch to be demolished. It was not mentioned in any early advertisements or the property card, but based on the foundation, staff believes it is original to the house. It does show on the 1951 Sanborn. As you can see, it's not in the best condition. This is the proposed side addition in the same location. You can see that it will be subordinate to the main house, and the front elevation will incorporate features that are found on the main house. Here's the side elevation with the 2 clear-story windows. Staff had mentioned in the report about the lack of the traditional fenestrations on that side elevation. The owner indicated that she wanted light, but also privacy because this porch addition is very close to the neighboring property. Staff, after looking at this house, is set further back on the block, further than any other house on the street, and after assessing that, realizing that we're recommending to not add a closed shutter or an architectural feature just because this will be so minimally visible and the expense would not be worth it. So staff evaluated the project and found that it met the criteria for certificates of appropriateness and for new guidelines. And therefore, we're recommending approval with the 4 conditions written above, pretty much our traditional conditions for windows, and regarding necessary permits shall be obtained and that the approval will be valid for 24 months. The owner is here, and this is the end of my presentation, and please let me know if you have any questions. All right.
Thank you very much, Ms. Perkins. Okay, we'll welcome Ms. Wright. Do you have any presentation or opening remarks, Ms. Wright?
No buttons, no presentation, just asking for a permit. 2750 Dartmouth, and I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
So I'm just here as the homeowner asking for approval. If I'd known I had to go through all of this, it's a little overwhelming, but I have lived in my home for 22 years. I've been on 2 historic Kenwood tour of homes. I take Kenwood very seriously, and all of the things that I've selected for my home will add character, will add dimension and appropriateness to the community. So I'm hoping you'll approve, and I hope there's nobody contesting. And I have posted everything on the door and done everything I needed to do. And I must acknowledge Ms. Perkins has been wonderful through this because I can get a little anxious at times. So that would be it. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Okay, there's no registered opponent? Any public hearing?
No.
Okay, so you win there, Ms. Wright. All right. Any cross-examination, Ms. Perkins?
I'll waive.
Okay, Ms. Wright? Okay. Any rebuttal or closing remarks? No. Ms. Wright? Okay. I appreciate you making it fun. Makes me smile. Okay, we'll move into executive session. Commissioner Wanamaker.
Was there an elevation from the rear of the new, I'm just concerned what those sliding doors look like and whether they have external muttons or not. And
I don't know that sliding glass doors normally do have muntins.
Yeah, I know.
I know that we spoke somewhat about you were talking about doing a French door with the traditional muntin design, or are you going with the sliding glass doors?
I would prefer to do a sliding door.
Yeah, there's no elevation showing.
Yeah, there's no elevation showing
that
that.
facade looks like.
Since this was on a new build and it's interior facing, I did not feel that it was necessary to require. Unlike the previous property where it is publicly visible from the right of way, this will only be seen from inside the property. But I do know there was no rear elevation submitted.
So explain again why this is different from
the
previous application.
Because the previous application, the rear of the house is highly visible from, is it 8th Street? That's actually it's sort of an odd house in that the rear elevation is actually the primarily seen elevation from the street because the front is on the ravine, so you actually can't see it if you're walking along the street. So that's why the rear elevation of that house is, I'll say, more of a priority in terms of replicating traditional features than this addition, which is only going to be seen on the interior of the property on the rear.
And because the previous application, it was new French doors in an existing
historic building. Yes.
Room
Yes.
or wall, and this is a brand new wall.
Yes.
Okay.
The wheels are turning. Any other question or comments? Commissioner Winters.
Yeah, I think this will be a significant improvement. I think it really is very well designed. That roof line is really going to help a lot. So I will move approval of the COA with the conditions recommended by staff.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogo. Any questions or comments before we vote? Beautiful home. Beautiful home. I agree with Commissioner Winters. It's only going to make it more beautiful. All right, let's vote.
Curtis.
Yes.
Rogo.
Yes?
Winters.
Yes.
Burke.
Yes.
Wanamaker.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congrats. Yes, thank you.
And I didn't know what a mutton was anyway, so.
You ought to stop right now, because.
Okay. All right, moving on to item number 4 of the agenda. Commissioner Wanamaker, please.
Number 4 is City File Number 21-902-00032. The request is for the review of a certificate of appropriateness for the alteration of a front porch and new front door at 2754 4th Avenue North, a contributing property to a local historic district. The owner is Melissa Overton, and the agent is Wydell Simmons.
Thank you. Ms. Perkins, welcome back.
Yes, thank you. We're here now for COA for 2754 4th Ave North. We received no public comments for this item. This property is also located in the newly designated Southwest Central Kenwood Local Historic District, and it is a contributing structure. It was constructed in 1924 as a craftsman style. The house has undergone some alterations, including the application of aluminum siding and soffits covering the original siding and exposed rafter tails underneath, and a non-historic porch railing was installed. The porch used to be enclosed and has been reopened in the past 20 years. So the project will entail, I've spoke with the owner before the meeting, and she's made an amendment to some of what the project will entail. So we're going to she wants to remove the aluminum siding and then restore the wood siding underneath. If that is too deteriorated, she'd like to install hardy board instead because of lumber prices. Still remove the aluminum soffits to expose the rafter tails, still replace the front door. She's going to instead do a traditional wood style porch railing instead of the PVC tree decorative railing. And she understands now what we mean by let's remove all the siding, see the ornamentation underneath, and restore what's there rather than pick features from other houses. So I'll continue to work with the applicant on that as they go through the process. And then repair the porch floor and wood columns to match existing. So here's the existing French doors. Staff was unable to determine the age of the doors because the property had the enclosed front porch. I do not believe that they are the original doors. On the right is the proposed fiberglass craftsman style door. The overall design of the door does meet the design guidelines, but staff is recommending the use of clear glass rather than the faux leaded bevel glass, which is not traditional to St. Pete, particularly Kenwood, which was a modest working class neighborhood. So that level of ornamentation in the glass is just not typically found. As we've already stated, this has been removed, and instead we'll be proposing a traditional wood porch railing. This was the features that she wanted to add from 2701 2nd Ave North, but as stated, we're going to work on what the ornamentation underneath. And that was part of what this is. You can see underneath the aluminum siding on the main house, you can see the slats in it, which means there's probably a gable vent underneath. And you can see that part of the siding just really covers a lot of the architectural features, the knee braces, et cetera. So once we remove it, we'll be able to identify what are the original features to the house and work on restoring them or replacing in kind. So staff reviewed the application and found that it met 2 of the 4 criteria for general granting of certificate of appropriateness and the guidelines for alterations, meaning 4 of 7. That was under what was initially submitted and not what the applicant and I spoke about. So staff is still recommending approval with the conditions regarding that a replacement railing on the front porch should consist of wood and be architecturally compatible with the craftsman style per the design guidelines for historic properties in St. Petersburg, that the glass in the proposed front doors should be clear or have a film or some sort of application. I understand the owner wants privacy because she lives close to 28th Street, so We want to work on trying to provide that privacy, but use a more traditional architectural design. At the traditional standard conditions for doors and windows, that the side lights will be recessed, that the existing opening and trim will be preserved, and then still using the decorative features that are conjectural should not be used without documentary evidence, and that architectural features exposed when the aluminum siding and soffits are removed should be restored. And that all of the necessary permits shall be obtained, and this approval will be valid for 24 months. So that is the end of my presentation. The owner is here. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Ms. Overton, would you like to present? Welcome.
Hi,
If you'll just state your name, your address, and tell us that you've been sworn in.
Melissa Overton, 2754 4th Avenue North, and I have been sworn in.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me and considering the COA. She's been wonderful. This will be the first time I've ever lived in a historic district, so it's been quite a challenge just trying to figure out what the houses around me look like versus what they're supposed to look like. And so I guess including with the glass, that's kind of the question. My house is wide open to everybody. And so I do want to have historical features, but at the same time, putting in a more secure door is really important, especially I'm a single mom. Part of the glass also, it looks nice. So I went around and I tried to highlight all of the houses that have similar glass structures on their doors. And as I don't have copies because I wasn't expecting what to do, if you look, you can see all of the highlighted areas. And it's clearly approximately about half of the houses do have some kind of decorative glass on the doors that have been replaced in this little zone. And if you go a couple blocks over, there's even more doors that have the Craftsman doors similar to the one that I've proposed to be added to my house. So that and wanting the hardy board for the siding in the event that I can't replace the existing wood there due to stock limitations and the price, to be honest. That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
No registered opponent?
No.
Any public hearing?
No.
Okay. Ms. Perkins, any cross-examination? Ms. Overton, any cross-examination for Ms. Perkins? No. Any rebuttal or closing remarks?
Yeah, the only, I guess, closing remarks I'll make is that it has become a trend, particularly if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and say you want a Craftsman door, they sell you the doors with these kind of faux leaded beveled glass. And so you'll find them all over the place, but they were not reviewed under a COA, and they're still not traditional features. It's a more recent trend amongst sort of people owning sort of Craftsman houses. So it's still not traditional to St. Pete. That's it.
And this is a relatively new historic district, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, those doors could have been put in prior to this becoming a historic district,
Yes.
and they wouldn't have needed a COA.
No, not at that point, but now since the district the application was complete in January of last year, that's why we've sent some door replacements to this commission over the past year. So we're still working on trying to have those door replacements be at the staff level, but we're still recommending people use the traditional glass forms instead of that faux leaded or beveled glass, unless they have documentation that the house had it historically.
Got it. Thank you very much, Ms. Perkins. Ms. Overton, any rebuttal or closing remarks? Okay, so we'll move into executive session. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Honestly, that was my big one on whether the doors, because it's a new historic district, so that's makes me feel better about it. Commissioner Roga.
I have a question, please, for Ms. Perkins. You were able to reach an understanding agreement with the owner regarding the railing and the additional decorative features. Did you have any recommendations for her on what to use in place of just clear glass, appreciating her need for some privacy in the location that she's in?
Yeah, I mean, We actually had sent an email about using frosted glass. While it's still not the most traditional, it's more reversible and less visually obtrusive, and will still give you that privacy. The other thing is the traditional form of privacy, which is install curtains behind the door, which is what was traditionally done in the historic districts in St. Pete. But I completely understand her proximity to 28th Street and wanting privacy. I definitely get that. We're just trying to propose something that's a little more traditional while providing that privacy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the commission? Do we have a motion?
I will move to approve the certificate of appropriateness, subject to all the conditions in the staff report.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Winters. Second. Any final comments, questions? I mean, my only comment would be I totally understand going around, and I appreciate the hard work you did on going and looking at doors, but the new historic district, I think, changed kind of my view on that, where those probably happened prior to it becoming a historic district. And so I appreciate and that you went through the work. I'm sorry you went through it, and then we're not giving you the answer you want, but or I don't think we're going to give you the answer that you want. But thank you for taking care of this house, and thanks for everything you're doing in the new historic district. Okay, let's vote.
Gertis,
Yes.
Rogo,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Wanamaker.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Overton. Correct. Got it. Miss Overton? Yeah, sorry. Thank you. And it's not because we don't want you to do that, it's because we want to be fair. Have a great day. Okay. Last item on the agenda. Ms. Wanamaker, please.
Okay, agenda item number 5 is city file number 21-902-00053. The request is for the review of a certificate of appropriateness for the installation of a front and street side yard fence at a contributing property in a local historic district. The owners are Joanna Kelly Huckster and Michael Tobias McCabe, and the agent is Andrew Chanak.
Thank you. Ms. Duvacott, welcome back.
Thank you. We have a COA for 3052 7th Avenue North. The subject property is contributing to the Northwest Kenwood Local Historic District and is a corner property on a lovely boulevard, as shown here. Shown here is the proposed location of the fence, sort of around the top two street side, front and street side yard. The applicant, property owner, has requested a front and street side fence that it has a scallop design and is between 3 and 4 feet high to enclose the front yard. So their main request is for this the vinyl picket style, which is shown at the left. Knowing that this commission has been and staff have been working through questions about fence materials, they also priced out and submitted the option at the right. If the vinyl option is not approved, they would be willing to use the wood material. Shown here is the front elevation where the fence would be installed, and then this is a bit further back, the corner elevation. So the proposed fence would wrap around the front, which is on the left side, and extend to the driveway, which is shown at the right. Summarize the findings. Staff does find the proposal to be overall appropriate because of the high transparency of the proposal and its low height. So is recommending approval with conditions as shown, that it would not exceed the proposed height. And that concludes my presentation. The owners were unable to attend today because of work, but did submit a statement that was included in the application. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Duvacott. Okay, with the owner not being here, is there any registered opponent? I don't think so. Okay. Any public hearing?
No.
Okay. Ms. Duvacott, any cross-examination for the letter that we received? None. Okay. Any closing remarks? Okay, thank you. All right, executive session. Commissioners. Commissioner Wanamaker.
Was there a requirement that the vinyl be textured, have a wood texture, like came up in maybe our couple previous meetings?
No, I'm not familiar with picket style.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen examples of the texture being applied to this style of fence. So no, it was just the vinyl or wood were the two options that were provided in the application.
So it was, I'm trying to recall, it was the solid panel fencing where we required the wood texture option. This picket style is a lot more transparent, and it may not even be offered as an option. I'm not sure, but yeah, because of its transparency, I'm less concerned about the texture of the actual surface material. So,
okay. I feel like we also required it to be matte rather than glossed.
That's right.
So.
Mm-hmm.
That is correct.
Yeah. We were worried about it being shiny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I think probably less concerned with big holes in it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else from the commission? Questions? Commissioner Rogo.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure I was there at that particular meeting, so I'm hearing that there might be some acceptance of a vinyl product as long as it doesn't have that plastic shiny look to it and rather has a matte finish than a glossy finish, as you said.
That was the concern. Yeah, I mean, we're probably talking 3 or 4 meetings ago to where it was a solid 6-foot vinyl fence. And I think our condition of approval was it had to be matte and it had to be textured. I think what Commissioner Wanamaker, and please step in, is saying that that's probably less important now with it being lower and also with it being picketed rather than solid. I think that's the right word, picketed.
And Commissioner Rogo, we also had a discussion about the longevity and durability of wood versus the vinyl, and allowing the homeowners to utilize the vinyl, also cost being much less with the vinyl. So it's a newer technology. A wood fence really does deteriorate and has to be maintained. It's so I believe that we all believe that a vinyl opportunity or vinyl option is something that we would allow the homeowners to do. So,
thank you for that clarification. I would be in agreement. Thank you.
And Ms. Duvacott, in this instance, the city is okay with the white picketed the way the first essentially option they have. The city is okay with that?
Yes, I find it much less visibly glossy when it's
yeah, it's only 2 inches thick, I think.
Yes, in the smaller pieces and lower, it's ultimately a reversible change. So,
thank you, Commissioner Burke.
We may be able to move this forward rather than have it come back if you do want to put the condition on it that it be matte. I would, and the owner was also accepting of making it wood, so maybe we would say either a matte finish or a wood fence. Does that make sense? That way they don't, if they can't find the matte or they don't like it, they don't have to come back to get the wood. Is that how this can easily be handled? Okay.
Yeah, I'm certainly open. I would be in favor of that, to give them the option so they don't have to come back. I'm sure they'd prefer that as well.
It ends in an objective standard one way or the other, so
Right.
providing the option is permissible so long as they're both objective measures.
Yeah, it's not an open-ended.
Correct.
Okay.
I could probably put forth a motion if there's no other discussion.
Let's have at it, Commissioner Burke.
I would propose a motion that we approve a certificate of appropriateness for the installation of a front and side yard fence at the contributing property with the conditions spelled out by the city, and that the finish on the fence either be vinyl with a matte finish or natural wood.
Mr. Demo, we're good there?
I'm good with that.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Burke. Do we have a second?
Second?
Commissioner Wanamaker, thank you. Any other comments or questions before we vote? Okay, let's vote.
Curtis,
Yes.
Rogo,
Yes?
Winters,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Wanamaker.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. There's a lot of pressure voting first. I like it better when Commissioner Burke was not an alternate and he voted first. One quick comment from me. I think I wrote it down right. I think every single city file today, the owner or agent complimented city staff. I didn't want that to go unnoticed, especially after last meeting. And so I just think Mr. Kilborn, Ms. Perkins, Ms. Duvacott, all of city staff continue to shine. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other updates or announcements?
I have none.
None?
None.
Come on.
If you want one,
I mean, I'm not begging for one. I got a little surprise. That's all.
I did send the commission an email this morning. We are a certified local government. We did receive an invitation from the state office this morning to participate in a webinar later this month that you will all have access to, and it is related to the subject of flood resiliency for historic buildings in a vulnerable city like ours. So they're going to talk about that relationship, and obviously that's an important issue for us given our location on the water. And so I know that we're already registered, and we would encourage the commission to do the same. It's not required, but it is encouraged.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a question.
Commissioner Burke.
Derek, we had many of these window replacement applications and door replacement applications that get to us are already, slam dunks, and because you guys get all. There was some talk earlier, or maybe the end of last year, about approving many of those at the staff level. Where do you stand with that?
Very close to bringing recommended change forward.
Okay.
So right now, when those issues come in, there is a matrix in the Certificate of Appropriateness application packet. That matrix directs where those applications are required to go. So in the past, it made sense to bring the changes that you've seen to this commission. Given the increased volume that we're seeing, particularly from the Kenwood neighborhood, this is a good time and a great opportunity to move some of those to an administrative review. So we have put together some draft language to amend the matrix that would allow us to process a number of these at the staff level much more quickly and efficiently, and not have to require them all to come to the commission. So we'll probably be bringing something forward in the next couple months that will propose to amend that matrix.
Okay, I think that'd be a great idea.
I mean, tell Rob Gertis to get on it. Jeez.
We take up a lot of his time, but not on this particular question.
Okay. Anything else? Commissioner Winters.
Yeah, Commissioner Reese left the commission many months ago, and I know that Commissioner Bell has not been in attendance for many months, and I just wondered about the status of filling those slots, because today we barely have a quorum.
Yeah.
And I already know I will not be in attendance next month. So
I have a new email that's about to go out after this commission hearing today addressing that question and issue. So we should have that resolved very shortly.
Do we have nominations or do we need nominations?
We have individuals that have expressed interest. So we have gone back to confirm that they're still interested in
So they
the
can go to
position.
City Council?
Pardon me?
And then they go to City Council for approval?
They have to go to City Council for approval. The nominations first come from the administration, and those are put forward to council then for their approval.
I would really hope that we could get someone of color or multiple people of color onto the commission, having lost Commissioner Reese and Commissioner Bell.
And Commissioner Reese and I had a really great conversation after her departure, and we did talk to her about different recommendations that she may have for her open seat. So we're working on some of those.
Great. Great.
Thank you for bringing that up. Anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you guys not want to go? Commissioner Burke, thank you for the second. All in favor? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, everybody have a great rest of your Tuesday. Thank you very much.
When you're older, you know some things may change, but we gotta love each other. You see, gotta love each other. No, we can't love another with the love in yourself.